Welcome back to Remembering Smallville,
a Smallville rewatch podcast. I'm Daniel.
I'm Nicole.
I'm Kim.
and I'm Brett.
Hi guys, how are you?
Good.
Are you ready?
Toyed.
Are you ready for another double feature?
Yes.
Oh, so ready.
All right, before we start, I have a question.
Yes.
Tell me about your journaling habits.
Is it a habit if you don't do it?
We're laughing because we don't have any.
So, I'm the only one who journals?
So let me tell you something. I used to use social media as my journaling,
Okay.
right? Now I have a journal app where I attach pictures and I do a little bit of journaling, but I'm not good at it.
Does it then print like a chat book or?
No, it just saves to like my Google Drive. So if I get a new phone, it just transfers over. But no.
Okay.
My posterity is going to know nothing about my life.
Same.
My posterity will know about 2 years of my life. And after that, nothing.
Between the years
Yeah.
of 18 and 20?
Wait, Daniel,
It
for
was
those
actually
2 years,
19 to
did you
21.
journal?
Oh.
Daniel didn't even journal for the 2 years.
Mine was probably 18 months of the 24.
Okay.
I journaled really well for like 2 months and then I got sick of it. And then I'd pick it up again like 6 months later and I'd do like 3 weeks. My journal was the only time I ever wanted to journal was when I was feeling sad. And then I was like, why am I only journaling sad stuff? My posterity is just going to think I was a sad donut. So I'm just, what was the point?
So let me ask you this, boys. Do you hate to journal? Because I stress myself out so bad about journaling that I hate it.
I love to write. That's the thing. I just can't bring myself to journal.
I have no interest in it. I don't think
Aw,
anyone's interested in
boys.
it.
You're all breaking my heart.
Nobody wants to know about my life.
But that's the thing, though. Your kids do. Welcome to my TED Talk.
Yes.
Daily journaling is really, really hard because for most people, especially me, my days aren't that fun. They're very repetitive. Nothing interesting happened. Who cares what soup I ate that day? No one. Not
do.
important. So you need to find a journaling system that works for you. I like that Kim has like a little ditty because I'm sure there'd be a way for you to find a way to print that or share it or archive it so it'd be accessible to someone
Yeah.
else. My grandpa didn't journal, but he wrote like his life story when he was in his later years. So I've read that and it's like about his
love
life
that.
and major things that are, part of who he is, major events and memories from his childhood. So my sister-in-law has a journal for each of her kids and she writes in it once a month about them.
Oh.
And she's going to give it to him on their 18th birthday.
Okay, that is beautiful. And I did journal about my kids as they were growing up. I don't anymore, but the cute things that they would learn or something that happened to them, I did do that probably for the first 3 or 4 years, maybe 5 years of their life. But that's so cute. What a good idea.
Yeah. And so I think you should find a way to document important moments, whether they be good or bad, because you'll learn something where you have this moment of clarity. You're going to forget that moment 100%.
100%.
So I recommend to everyone, find a way to remember important moments and how you felt, or if you're trying to improve on something or be aware of something, journal it, track it. Right now I'm doing a bullet journal.
What's that?
So it's not lined paper, it's like dotted paper. And I draw out a calendar. So it's just, like one A4 sheet of paper. That's a calendar. And it's only, an inch big a day. And I just write down like the one thing I had, whether it just is like work and the hours I worked or Smallville recording session, like one thing. And then the next page I am tracked because it's something I wanted to be aware of was like how I'm feeling, how my day felt. And so like in October, I drew like I drew some shelves and I drew like empty potion bottles. And then I drew 31 of them. And then on the bottom, I had like different colors. And so if I had a good day, I would color it blue. If I had an anxious day, I colored it yellow. If it was a mix, I'd like do like a mix of color, like a blended. And so like it just helps me be aware of like, was I anxious all day or was I anxious for half a second?
Yeah, because sometimes it feels like you're anxious all day.
Right. And so I'm doing that on one page, and then the next page I'm doing like I'm tracking my steps and how many hours I'm sleeping. And just like it's very
Healing.
minimal. It's very minimal. Like it takes me about an hour and a half to prep my month. But then
Gotcha.
once I'm into the month, it's
Daily,
minutes
it
a day,
takes you 5
and it just
minutes.
helps me reflect because like, oh, I'm gonna color in for November. I'm doing leaves. It's gonna be like a really pretty collage of leaves by the end of the month, and it helps me be aware like what kind of day am I having? Am I having a good day or a bad day? And I've done daily journals. I have a lot of journals, so I could talk about this for hours. But
No, that's just good. And I do think that there's actually value to, like you said, the boring days that there's nothing that's there. If you're giving it to your posterity or someone to read it,
Right.
I think it's important for posterity to know that most days are not just the fun, exciting stuff. Most days kind of just happen. Not that you're not doing anything, but there's just
the daily life.
it can happen daily life. And because I do know, especially in today's world, there's so much competition, there's so much thought that my life is unhappy because I'm not doing what I see. And we see
Right.
so much through social media or through media, television, whatever. That's what we expect. And then you have daily life where, you know what? I had some soggy Cheerios, and then I had a sandwich and the bread was kind of stale. And it's okay for that day to happen because that's what a lot of days are, you know?
Well, and that's opened up a whole new journaling world for me because it makes so much sense that you would go through journaling phases, different ways to journal.
Yeah.
I love that. I'm going to look into this now.
So, yeah, I recommend everyone find a way to just have a way to remember. That way you can turn back and look through your year and be like, you know what? My year wasn't so bad.
Yeah.
Look at all. Because I would have 12 pages of my emotions I could see 365 emotions. How am I doing?
Oh, I love that.
I've often thought about just writing like is it autobiography or
A
biography?
memoir, autobiography.
Something just about basically my life until I was 30, which is where I am now.
It's a good idea.
And
like
then
once
picking up the journal.
once every 10 years.
You know?
Once every 10 years.
Yeah,
Write
something like
about,
that.
Or
even
you could do just once a year a summary of the year.
just do once a year. You could do once a year into a 4 or 5 pages.
I used to do that in video.
Yeah.
I would
And in
video
this modern
myself.
age, you could just tell your phone and it's going to write it for you.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
true.
You know?
And you can have ChatGPT analyze it and make it sound more interesting or correct your crap.
More positive. They have these little books nowadays for older people.
Is it like the story thing?
Yes, and
Yeah.
it asks them questions.
Yes,
I
my
wanna-
parents are doing it. My
I
dad says it's
love
5.
that.
His is 500 pages.
Oh my gosh,
He
I wanna
must be
do it for
talking
my
a lot.
grandma. Yeah.
You really should, because I regret that I didn't do one with my grandma before she like got too old and tired to do it. I should have done it in that window where she was like, I have nothing to do and I'm still mentally competent. I should have done it before
Yes.
she passed that point. Anyway, journaling.
Beautiful.
Well, speaking of journaling, we're going to get into this episode, and I have no idea how it relates to journaling.
It actually relates to the second part of our double feature,
Yes, it does.
Emily's journal. That's
Well,
how I
let's
connected
start
it.
with the first episode of this double feature.
This is Season 2, Episode 20, Witness.
In this episode, following an argument with Chloe, Clark witnesses a Smallville high school student rob a Luther Corp van that is transporting kryptonite. Avoiding police questioning, Clark takes matters into his own hands, but unwittingly puts his family in danger. Also, Jennifer Small does some naughty things.
She sucks. So, as a reminder, this is a double feature. We had one last week. We're having one again. But guess what? Because of this speed watching, we are so close to the end of the season. We have only 2, after this recording session, we only have 2 more episodes to go before season finale, guys.
Yep, which means next time we record, we're going to be recording the end of this season. Isn't
I
that
love it.
exciting?
I'm so excited.
But we have to get through this garbage first.
Listen, I'm actually really excited because, so I'm kind of jealous. My sister started listening to our podcast and now is watching Smallville for the first time.
Yay.
And she and her husband are now in like season 6 because they just started binging ahead because they
I'm
couldn't
sure.
help themselves. And I really just want to binge through and so it's nice that we're getting through it a little bit faster than literally 1 episode a week. That would be a little rough on Daniel. But this episode was one that I didn't really like. It was just...
So in the first scene, Chloe has a new haircut. It's no longer the wings.
It's better, but
awful.
it's not... Here's the thing.
It's like a shag.
Yeah, Chloe season 2 hair is the worst hair of the series.
Is it? So I had this haircut. I didn't have bangs.
The hair on the crown of her head is 2 inches long.
Yeah, so I had the spiky back and the long front. She pulls it off, but it is not very.
It's not good.
It looks like a shag, like a
I
shaggy.
mean, she's not really.
I don't know.
I feel like she's been very minimal in this season. It's probably because they were like, her hair's terrible. She can take a break this week.
I wonder if part of it is that in the first season they were planning on stuff with Chloe that they maybe changed their minds on or something. There's got to be something like that because suddenly Chloe is a way more minor character in this whole season.
Yeah. So does that change?
Oh
Yes.
yeah.
Okay.
I would say Chloe is one of the main prominent characters of the entire show.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know
by
she's.
far.
I wonder if it's her breakup hair. You know, from
It's gotta be the hair.
from being like, I'm done with Clark. I need a change.
Well, and I'm so sick of her being like, I'm in love with you, but I'll never have you.
Oh, I know. Especially in
Yeah,
this episode,
they're
she's like
dragging
being a
it
big
out
baby.
so
Yes.
badly.
So it's the whole season. So I'm like, get over it. Come be a regular, awesome character that we know you're all
I think
capable
we'll get that in
of.
season 3. I think we just have to be a little bit more patient.
Okay. All right.
Patience is a virtue, unfortunately.
What's the A storyline in this episode? The baddies.
The baddies and
So
the
Eric.
van. Yeah.
Eric Marsh.
So we have an awesome guest star, Zachary Ty Bryan from Home Improvement.
Yes.
We're completing the family.
Yes.
When I saw him, I was like, oh.
Yep. I said,
play a dick,
another home improvement episode.
He's kind of a dick in Home Improvement too, if you remember. He's the
Yeah.
big
What's his
brother.
name
He's
in that
mean.
one?
Brad.
Brad.
That's right.
So Clark sees this whole crime happen, but the thing that bothers me, okay, you can totally shoot crossbows like that. They could totally go into the metal of a door, but that wouldn't stop a car because
The doors
unless
would rip
those
off?
door hinges and that steel on those doors is like so tough and central to the entire frame of the car, that ain't happening. They would have ripped the doors off.
Yes.
Well, and Brett
How-
forgot they had like super
Oh,
strength.
yeah.
But
You're like,
even
what?
standing there, are you strong enough on your own to pull a car? Like,
Well, they've got super strength,
Yeah,
but
they have
yeah,
super
but
strength.
it's
There's
a
no
weight
traction.
issue. This Archimedes would see this and like lose his freaking mind because
It's kryptonite. Just go with it.
well, just seriously, I need to nerd out about this for a minute because I hated it as soon as I saw it. I just really hate when super strength somehow equals super mass.
yes.
Yeah.
You know, that doesn't happen. One of the best ways I've ever kind of seen super strength be shown is with Homelander and the boys. There's this point, he's basically Superman. That's like the trope. And like
You've watched it, Brett.
Homelander, at one point, he's asked, can you like save this plane that's about to crash? And he's like, what am I going to push against?
I think that's what Brett's saying, right?
Right?
Like, you can't just like
what am I going to do? How am I going to lift it? Now, Clark's got the strength in his flight. Like Superman has the strength with his flight, so there's more physics on his side
That
way. But even then, like I just hate when they do stuff like this because I immediately get my immersion broken. It may be fiction and it may be a superhero story. It may be comic book-esque, but if you're on real Earth, you've got to follow real Earth rules to an extent.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
Else
it's just not as
unbelievable.
it's way more exciting if you're following the Earth rules and you do it. And if you're like supernatural, like that can be cool, but this just doesn't work for me. Yeah. A good effect, really well done. Like they totally truly flipped a dang van. But that's about where it ends.
Yeah.
And what's crazy to me is Clark literally just happens upon it by happenstance.
Yep.
Always.
He wasn't lurking. He just was driving home. He just was trying to be a good boy.
Do you ever wonder if he's like, why me? Why
Well,
me?
especially because in the last episode with Crazy Paul and the new crazy sheriff, or even before that, right? Yes. Whatever.
Yes.
He is unwilling to call the police because he's like, this lady's got her radar right on me. She's laser beamed in. If I'm involved in something else, she's going to lose her mind. And I'm not doing more community service, so I'm just going to let it go. And his parents are like, Clark, you got to call the cops. He's like, no, I'm not doing it. You can't make me. This lady's crazy.
Do you blame him?
I don't at all. I think it's the right thing to do at this point.
Yeah.
Protect your secret more than whatever they stole in that unmarked vehicle.
That's what I love about Jonathan is he's like, I am such a good citizen, except for when it comes to my son's secret.
Right.
Right.
Always obey the law. Always, except when I choose not to.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Clark x-rays the bad guys who are robbing, and he sees that one has like a metal plate in his head.
Yeah.
And then the next day at school, he sees a kid who's like, that kid looks like a dick. I'm gonna X-ray him.
Metal plate.
Metal plate, same guy.
Clark should just profile everyone all the time.
I know.
mean, he would eliminate a lot of problems if he just knew in advance.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Maybe
true.
he's got everyone's skeletons more or less memorized that he interacts with each day just so that he can check on them.
There's Gladys with the wonky kneecap. Scoliosis Tom.
Oh, okay, so
You
I'm
don't
gonna-
need to have the gym teacher feel your back up in order to know if you have scoliosis. Clark will just look at you.
Okay, so I have a problem I'm bringing up into this episode. This is a sports reference. They talk about how Eric Marsh was a terrible baseball player and then suddenly got good. I understand that it's giving him strength and he can hit hard.
But how does that accuracy?
Exactly.
exactly.
His batting average is not better.
No.
So I'm like, what? He bats? I mean, I don't know if they even talk about his batting average.
Maybe he hits home runs or nothing.
I mean, he's hitting home runs.
That
sure.
could help at least a little bit.
It'll
but-
help a little bit.
But why baseball?
Well, here's an interesting thing
America's
about baseball.
pastime, thank you.
What couldn't it have been like soccer? Like
Or
running
football.
and kicking.
Football
and-
would have been even more effective.
Oh, I know.
But a contact sport, that's even harder because you can't control yourself. But here's
Soccer's not.
here's
supposed
the
to be
thing about
contact.
baseball. Again, strength has a little bit to do with being able to hit the ball really well. But the strength part isn't necessarily
It's
why
mostly form, right?
there's form, but it's more about mass. The heavier you are, the farther you can hit. Your weight of your body makes more of a difference than your strength. So if you were as strong as you physically could be, but you're like 160 pounds, you're not going to hit as far as if you were weaker than that 165 pound person and you were 230.
Okay, I always wondered why baseball players are a little thicker.
It's
I'm like,
because
you
of
have to
that.
run around the bases. Why are you not training?
They just have to be good at sprints.
Yeah.
They don't have to do any long
That makes
distance.
so much
You can
sense.
it's crazy in football. There are linemen who can run nearly as fast as the other players on the team for about 30 or 40 yards and then they,
Yeah.
can't run over as far, right? It's just kind of a thing. You can get good at sprints even if you're a little thick.
Well, Daniel told me once that baseball isn't a
Sport.
It's a game.
Yep.
They're different.
It's technically called a game.
How so?
Well,
Like how chess is a game, Monopoly is a game, baseball's a game.
So it's strategic?
oh yeah,
a
Very
mind
strategic.
game.
it's between the pitcher and the catcher and the hitter, the batter. That
Really?
game right there is where all the stuff happens. There's more statistics that can flip in that area than like anything else in the world.
Wow,
It's-
that's
well,
amazing.
And it gets, I mean, for me, it gets really fun. I'm a baseball fan, not as much as other sports, but I do love it. There gets into the strategy because your pitcher can't last a whole game because he's throwing his shoulder out, right? And you've got your players, and you have to rotate through pitchers through the season because you know that pitcher, once he pitches today, pitches maybe 7 innings, he can't pitch for another 4 or 5 days before I put him on again. So when I have a double header, I have 2 games in a day, I have to plan and know that, well, this might be my best pitcher, but he's not going to be available tomorrow. So when you get to the World Series and there's multiple games, you have to decide, when do I want my best pitcher to be there? Do I want him burned out? Do I want him here? And so you get your managers that are trying to decide
Moneyball.
that. And then your batting order, you want your heaviest hitter number 4 typically. That's kind of it's not as common now, but originally that was kind of the idea because you have your base hitters, your guy that's going to get on first and second and third, and then you have your heavy hitter, hopefully or for a grand slam. It's a lot more complicated than that now. Today they've got a lot more strategy
It
to
probably
but-
is one of the most complicated games, is if you add all of the parts that make the whole. It's very, very interesting. And especially the mental game that goes on between the players actually interacting with the ball, it's wild. There is additional things around that. That's why people kind of obsess over it. You have to get nerdy about stats and things to enjoy it, which is why Brett likes this, because he's nerdy about stuff like that.
That's so fun.
But so baseball, like if you can get good, you can make millions of dollars. It's not something you have to go to college for necessarily.
Well, and you can play it forever. Don't they have like the longest careers in baseball?
Oh, definitely. I mean, you don't have to deal with a lot of the physical things. Now, you might not be a pitcher for as long.
Yeah.
But you could still do every other position if you're not a pitcher anymore.
So Eric has thought this through. Eric
Yeah.
Marsh. He's like,
Yeah.
baseball.
Yeah,
That's
back
my
to our
one.
real podcast.
Right.
Sorry, friends.
Now that we nerded out about baseball, we got to nerd about something. He's obsessed with getting baseball
Wait.
stuff, and that's
Wait.
his motivation. Oh no. No.
Did
Don't
I
say-
hear lightning when he hit the ball?
I did not have any Twilight references, and I do now.
No.
This is why they play it during a storm.
Why do we have to talk about baseball? I never want to talk about baseball again. Never again.
Hey, there has never been a greater game played than it.
Oh gosh. Let me tell you, I
Does
think
your make lightning when you hit it? No.
I will say this in defense of Twilight. I know this is wild.
I should say thunder, not lightning, but go on.
If baseball was actually played like that by vampires, it might be a lot more interesting for the regular people
Yes,
to watch.
preach. So good.
You'd have to change all the rules because they can leap into the air and catch it out of the air. And so if you can just do that, you've got to add some other stuff.
Gotta
but
make it more complicated.
yeah. And I will say that the Twilight vampires are the most overpowered vampires of all vampires
Oh,
in all
yeah.
of lore.
That's true.
Garlic
you
doesn't
mean?
hurt them. Sun doesn't hurt them.
And they sparkle. Okay.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. The sparkling doesn't have anything to do with how the fact that
Hey, their skin is granite, and you know when granite glitters, that's what it is.
anyway, back to reality or escapism
Well,
that's
I
different.
think there's a reason why we're not really talking about the episode much, are we? Because it's
I hated it.
horrible. So, want a new tangent? Let's talk about steroids.
Oh yeah. Mhm.
Because
He's roiding up.
he's inhaling bright green liquid
Yes.
into his lungs and is like, yes, let's hit the balls.
And they have like a factory
Yeah,
where
and
they're
they-
like vaporizing
Yeah. Refined.
kryptonite.
Yes.
And hold on, I loved when they threw Clark
Oh,
into.
yeah.
It reminded me of like Hocus Pocus.
Yes. So let's set the scene.
It reminded
Kim.
me of the Bible with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego.
So, to set up the scene, to give you guys some context of what we're jumping around and talking about, Clark has followed Eric because he knows it's Eric because of the head plate.
Yeah.
He follows him in the night to the foundry.
Alone.
The Smallville foundry, where the boys are doing science because we learned from Pete that he went to science camp at one point, that Eric went to science camp, chemistry camp. And
It's like, who goes to chemistry camp?
we just needed some backstory to like get us why
Yes,
is he doing this.
of how he's able
so Eric
to do
is a chemist, and he's done some chemistry, and he melts down meteor rock somehow with chemistry science.
Which, can you imagine? Those are probably metals in there. Like,
Oh,
Who
they're doing all
knows
sorts
what
of things.
they're inhaling?
So, sorry, I'm going to bring it back to our favorite topic, guys. Do you know
Twilight?
Yes. The reason why this is such an impactful episode for the time this episode came out is Mark McGuire had just retired. Now, if you guys don't know who Mark McGuire is, look him up. It was amazing how many home runs he was hitting. They found out he was juicing.
juicing is
McGuire
slang.
was juicing.
If you're just joining now, juicing is slang for steroids.
Oh,
Okay, Barry Bonds.
I thought he was drinking juice.
Also, it was at the end of his career, really towards the end of his career here, and it was the same scenario, like hitting a lot of
So
home
hold
run.
on. Were they juicing their whole career, or when they started to get old?
They start testing for a lot of those things. It wasn't
It
always
just-
big to test.
Yeah, they didn't start testing until later in their careers.
So
What do you
this is
think?
why
was he
this
always juicing? Were they always juicing?
Probably.
It's hard to probably say.
So that's why this episode is, to us right now, we're looking at it and we're like, it's all right. But for the time period, this was
Was it very
super
like topical?
Very topical. That when this episode came
Controversial
out,
or like good, raise awareness?
Topical, I think.
topical.
It's more like a
'Cause
commentary
nobody is
on it.
for juicing.
No.
That's cheating.
Jack LaLanne, maybe.
Actually,
the
they've-
people who do it, maybe.
they had to create an entire new division of bodybuilding just for all the juicers.
That's true. That's very true. That's
And
the only.
They have just made an Olympics, sort of, just for juicers.
Really?
It's supposed to come in 2026,
Can
I
you
think.
only juice certain types of juice?
Yes, so there are certain ones that are allowed. And so essentially it's the enhanced athletes division.
Or for anyone that's paying attention to sports today, they're probably not calling it juicing. They won't even call it steroids. They'll call it PEDs.
Performance enhancing drugs.
Okay, it's the same.
Well,
It is the same,
So
but
here's the
that's what they
crazy thing
call it
about
now.
performance-enhancing drugs. They have varying half-lives to them. And what I mean by that is that there are some where you can take for a couple months, and then a month later, you look clean on the tests, right? And so that's how a lot of athletes can get away with juicing past the tests, is because they can do certain ones that fade away really quickly. And so they're not as effective as the ones that don't fade away as quickly, but
Right,
they're
but then
still
you're not going to get caught.
right. You're also not getting caught. Now, a lot of people have a misconception about juicing that it just automatically gives you strength. No, it just means that you can work out harder, longer, and have faster recovery, which means that you can build more muscle more quickly. You have to put all of the work in still, but it just means your body's no longer limited to its own genetics and as far as how big you can get or how fast you can get there.
And are not all of them illegal?
No, not all. Some of them are more like considered supplements.
Supplements or hormones even.
So fun fact, I did a bodybuilding competition and urine tests were too expensive. So they actually hooked you up to a lie detector because that's cheaper.
Oh,
That's
weird.
exciting.
I just trained myself to...
Yeah, because if you're
Were
going
you
to
on
juice, you have to
steroids?
be in the division that is okay with it.
I
you
wasn't
know?
even in the... They didn't even test us because we weren't big enough to be.
Well, it's crazy. Basically, if you name any superhero that has been in Hollywood, they have absolutely done steroids.
Yeah, because
Christian Bale absolutely did
gonna say,
steroids.
like,
You know who didn't do
Chris
steroids?
Hemsworth.
There's one very prominent person who refused to do steroids.
Who?
He was in Twilight.
Who? Emmett?
Robert Pattinson,
For his
when
Batman
he played
movie.
Batman, he said, I will not do steroids. So that's why he's kind of thinner, not super big, all that stuff.
But wait, Christian Bale was smaller than him, and he juiced.
No, he was way
was
bigger.
he
You
was
should
buff.
you should. There's comparisons of them two side by side.
Okay,
He's
I need
way
to look
bigger.
this up because I do not remember that.
And we've had a lot of talk about steroids, so I thought I would share with you the side effects of taking anabolic
Again, we have
steroids.
very little to talk about with this episode. The A plot is fun in only that Clark gets to be put in a furnace and he comes out just like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, except he has more burns than they did. And if you don't know that story, it's a great story. You should read it.
Anyway, so these are the side effects for taking too many steroids, okay?
Oh,
That's just a warning for all you people because we've been hyping it up quite a bit. If men take them, reduced sperm count, infertility, shrunken testicles, erectile dysfunction, hair loss, breast development, increased risk of prostate cancer, severe acne, and stomach pain.
You'll turn into a woman.
Brett's over here filling his own chest like, did I take steroids on accident?
If women take them, they'll get facial hair growth or body hair, loss of breasts, swelling of the clitoris, a deepened voice, an increased sex drive, problems with periods, hair loss, and acne. And you can also, everyone, doesn't matter your genitalia, you can have a heart attack or stroke, kidney problems, blood clots, high cholesterol, mood swings, paranoia, manic behavior, rage. The list goes on and on.
So
Don't do them!
yeah. Have you ever seen like any commercial where they list any type of medication and then the end it's like taking this might result in heart attack or death or whatever. It's like,
Anal seepage.
you'll have less itchy skin in
Yes.
that one spot, but you might die. I love the anal seepage video, by the way. So speaking of you might die, they were hoping Clark would die in the furnace.
Yes, they just threw this kid into a fire, and
Like, it was nothing.
Eric knows Clark.
Yeah.
and they're able to beat him up because they're enhanced with
Kryptonite.
green vaporized liquid.
Yeah,
and
so-
I guess it's just in all their blood.
Oh yeah, must
you know?
be. They're probably breathing it out a bit.
So Clark is weakened, and they can beat him up. You
And
know?
they throw him in the fire, and then he comes out naked, and it's great.
Yeah,
Brett
I
goes,
li- I
"Oh, for you and Nicole."
Yes.
and I was like, Thank
Okay,
you.
so
We've
funny
earned
story
this
about
butt
this.
cheek.
yeah, his one butt cheek.
No crack.
The funniest thing about this is that I was in a different room, and then all of a sudden I hear Nicole being like, "Yeah, that butt cheek." She was so happy about it.
Oh, you guys, I'm really sorry. This episode just feels like it's going off the rails.
That's because it sucks.
So the next morning, we did an anonymous tip. They come and arrest the kid. They searched his locker. He's at school just doing baseball practice. Thinks he killed a kid yesterday. And he's like, "You can't search my locker." Oh, you'd think they'd like, "You're under arrest for murder." No, it's just like you have that alien mask.
And
And then
is just
he sees
smiling at
Clark
him.
and he's like, "You're alive," and Clark's like, "Yeah, I'm alive, biatch."
You think you're strong?
And then he goes to prison, and guess who bails him the freak out? Lex.
Lex to get back at his father for being a part of this and having the trucks and
I'd be so
Gross.
pissed at Lex. Clark is not pissed off enough because of what the kid and his friends do to the Kent farm and his parents.
Oh yes, let's talk about what Eric does to Clark's family while he's out on
his
bail.
pregnant mother.
Yes,
terrible.
he ransacks the barn and like ties them up with metal.
Here's
Scrap
what kills
hole.
me. He's a nerd that goes to chemistry camp and
Yes.
sucks at baseball. All of a sudden, he starts juicing, and he's a murderer / psycho.
I think that's one of the side effects. Remember how I said
Yep.
rage? I think it's the roid
Yeah,
rage.
but okay, plot hole.
Roid rage
We
is a real thing.
We understand he was let out of jail
Yeah.
on bail
Yeah.
for one crime.
Yeah.
But he just committed another one
I
that
know.
the Kents know about.
I know.
So he would be back in and not on bail because you just committed a
I
crime.
think it
while on
goes
bail.
back to the thing of we're not involving the cops in this matter. They're already on us. We have to lay low and let's just keep it to ourselves.
So Clark actually comes up with this plot to catch them in the act. They're going to set up a fake truck with kryptonite and then
Yes.
do this whole thing. Lex tries to keep Clark out of it, but Clark insists, and he
knocks Lex out.
Yeah, he knocks Lex out,
just
manages
pops
to
him out.
hide in the truck. They come to steal it, and he fights them off.
Yeah, we get a warehouse fight.
And he does better because Jonathan reminds him that he has more than strength,
Yeah.
Which
which is all they have. So he has speed and the
Yeah.
laser eyes and all
it's
this
something
stuff.
I've always had a problem
I was
with.
going to say heart, but yeah, his other.
Like
laser eyes.
when some other character gets super strength from kryptonite, totally get it, they can punch. But Clark can move at super speed and punch them. Or
That's what
dodge
Brett
their
said.
punch with super speed.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's always like,
I was
really?
literally just thinking that when he finally uses super speed to get behind him and bend the bar around him and then toss him. I was like, you
The
could have
whole
done that the whole
episode, Brett
time.
was like, "Oh, why are you not using your other
This is one of the
gifts?"
big reasons why I hate this episode, by the way.
It just falls really short because nothing comes of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Like
pointless.
Clark takes the refined meteor rocks and makes Pete bury them.
But remember
done.
that fallen
just-
tree? If
Yeah,
you watch,
they like zoom on this like fallen tree
They,
so
like-
you know that area.
yeah, they left it on there so you could just burn that into your brain. We'll be
Like,
back there.
It's like on holes when it's
Oh.
like this one random rock. Remember the shape of this rock. This rock's going to be important. Let's
Yeah.
go back to the rock. It's the same
I
thing.
don't even remember the fallen tree.
It's one of the last things in the episode.
Okay, okay, all right.
It's I understand why you didn't pay attention because by the end you probably were like brain was leaking out of your ears.
Yeah,
Anal seepage, except out of the ears. I don't know how that
Anything
works.
else to talk about on the A
No.
plot? Okay, let's go through the B real quick. Lana's doing a horse riding competition to please her new daddy.
Okay, can we talk about this?
Yes,
Because she was
let's.
housing Whitney's horse.
Yeah.
Now she's housing
A
her
different horse.
competition horse also.
Was his name Thunder or something?
I wrote it down.
Thaddeus? What I don't remember what his name was.
Thaddeus.
It is. Are you ready?
Lightning. What is it?
So Whitney's horse is Tyson,
Oh.
and hers is Donatello.
Oh, I was so close.
Yeah, that's
Thaddeus.
really
So I was like, when did this happen? They don't talk about it at all.
Maybe the horse died.
No, it was better off than before. He was like a young colt again.
don't
Maybe he
know.
ran away.
They sold him because he was worth so much now.
Here's the thing that bugs me with Lana's dad. The wife of Lana's dad warns her not to get too close because he doesn't even talk to his own kids, right?
Yes.
Okay. So now he's back in this episode and he's all pumped and they're doing great,
And he's like all about Lana. I want to come support you. I want to come to your big competition.
which was so weird to me because he doesn't do that
Right.
with his other
boarding
kids.
school children.
Yeah.
And then Lana is hanging out with Chloe in the car when the hood should have been up or the top should have been up because it's obviously about to rain. Foolish children. And she sees Mrs. Small cheek kiss a strange man and their eyes meet and Mrs. Small's face falls and Lana's face is like, oh no, drama. And so then Mrs. Small rushes to the talent and says, it's not what you think. It's not what you think. I'm not cheating on my husband. And Lana's like, don't talk to me. I'm 16. And then she goes, it's just a divorce attorney. Why are you putting this on this child?
Oh,
And
no,
it's a
she takes it-
divorce because of you.
And she says it straight up.
That is
It's
the worst.
crazy.
I
You
do
do
not
that
care
on
if
her.
it's the truth.
You don't
never
say.
put
Oh,
that
I
on a
know.
kid. Ever.
I know.
Oh my gosh.
Crazy.
Oh my gosh.
So now Lana has been emotionally traumatized because finally a living parent. Now her existence is causing a divorce in the family. So Lana meets up with her dad and is like, your wife's going to divorce you because of me. You and I need to take a break.
Here's what kills me. Brett says, this storyline, gone.
Gone. Done.
The dad never come. What?
Yep, this is the last episode
This is
with
it.
him.
I told you not to get attached.
That's
Absolutely.
so weird.
So pointless.
the dumbest. Oh, I can't. Okay. All right. Whatever.
So that's the episode. I'm so sorry.
Can we talk about Lionel and Chloe?
Oh, yeah, let's.
Yeah, I also heard from across the room, yay, Lionel's back! From
Oh,
Nicole.
I missed him. I love Lionel. I just like you hear his voice off screen, and I was like, "Whoop, Lionel!"
No, it was so perfect because we're watching this episode and Kim says, Lionel hasn't been in this series for a while. Wonder when he's coming in next. The next scene walks
Perfect.
in. It was so perfect.
You could sense it.
You two ladies were
You
waiting
could
for
hear
Lionel.
those locks.
I can feel there's a
rustling.
certain love you have for Lionel.
No, I hate him.
I freaking
Nicole
love him.
loves him.
Kim will love him. She will learn.
I don't know what will make me love him.
You'll see. He does
right.
it's
Right.
partly
I'll swallow my
Jonathan
words.
Glover.
This Chloe Lionel story, real quick.
Yeah.
The torch gets ransacked, and we assume it's Eric, but he doesn't say that it was him when it comes down to it. So she's thinking it obviously wasn't Eric. It's something else. Who was it? Lionel comes into the torch and is like, "Oh, Miss Sullivan, I want to give you money from my foundation."
You sound just like
Thank
him.
you. I'm going to give you money from my foundation so we can refix your building and give you the latest tech. I want to support you. I'm even thinking of giving you a regular column in the Daily Planet. And she's
Yeah.
like, I'm supposed to just say thank you, but I need to ask why.
Yeah.
And he's like, I think you're a promising journalist, my dear.
I feel like her family does not hate the Luthers like other families
I
do.
don't think you can because her dad's like one of the uppers in there.
Yeah.
So you can't be like, F you.
So that was kind of refreshing.
Well, and it wouldn't be a conversation with Lionel without a history reference where he talks about how pivotal journalists have been to the recent history of the world, and it's just like I'm like, oh, Lionel, you've got to bring up something from history, of course. There is sort of a C plot that it relates to the A plot originally. Clark and Chloe are fighting, and Clark has quit the torch.
Yep.
Because he keeps spending time with Lana. He keeps being like, oh, I'm sorry I couldn't do that. I was spending time with Lana. And this is kind of one of the things that has always kind of made me hate Lana in this show, is how Clark blows other people off and does things that I consider out of character.
Well, and not
for
just
Lana.
other people, his best friends.
Yes, I don't care who you are, but I just don't understand blowing off your friends for a girl you're not even dating.
And we've all done it, but maybe like once
When you're dating,
or twice, right?
When you're dating, sure.
Yeah.
But they're not even dating. They haven't even talked about their feelings in like 7 episodes. And the only time they've had intimacy is when they're one of them or both are under the influence of some trauma or
Some juice.
drugs or other influences, right?
Well,
And that's
hope
pretty
you-
much
hope you
it.
enjoyed that garbage.
Hot
that.
garbage.
Should we all give it a rating
I don't
at the
think-
same time?
I'm going to abstain.
Listen,
Is this the first episode to get no rating?
to go with this is just a high and outside ball.
There you go. Baseball. Bring it right back in.
Oh, no. This is that catch in the World Series that the fan ripped the baseball out of that turned into a foul ball.
Yeah.
There you go.
'Cause
Love it.
That's what this one is. All right. We found a rating that is lower than man.
It's ball.
It's failed chemistry, student.
Well, before we move on to the next episode, let's hear a word from one of us. All right. This next episode of the double feature is going to be Season 2, Episode 21, Accelerate.
After Lana is visited by the ghost of her childhood friend, she turns to Clark for help in uncovering the truth about the strange visitor. However, Clark realizes that the little girl is actually a kryptonite-enhanced clone, and he rushes to save Lana before the revenge-seeking child harms her.
So before we dive in, Kim, thoughts?
Okay, can I complain?
No.
Yes.
Little girls creep me the F out. Okay. I don't know why. I have 2 girls of my own. But for some reason in scary shows, they are so scary. They're always on a wooden swing. They're
She was.
always murderous.
She was.
And there's always creepy dolls in their
And
room.
there was. Yes.
I hated
And
it.
they always seem to have wet, drippy hair at some point, right? Like the
Yes.
ring.
And they carry like a stuffed animal. They carry a stuffed animal.
That too. You guys, the actress that plays creepy Emily
Oh no.
is in Eclipse.
What?
No.
What?
She is, huh?
She is a vampire that's like, don't kill me, I promise I'll be
She's the
good.
young
and
one.
She's that young one.
Oh my
I'm looking
gosh.
this up right
She's
now.
one of the newborns.
There's a
She
book
is the
about her.
newborn
She's-
that doesn't like fight and is like
Oh,
afraid.
They do have
Bree.
a book
and then
about
the
her.
Witchery
Bree.
comes and
Bree.
snaps her.
It's Brie.
That's her. Oh, I know exactly what she looks like now.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, gross.
Okay, so that's funny. Let's move on.
Amazing.
The episode starts out.
Guys, you need Daniel's face.
The episode starts out at this movie at the Talon, and there's Pete and Clark and Lana and Chloe watching a scary movie, and there's a jump scare, and Lana grabs Clark's hand, just like in Twilight, like how
No.
just okay.
I was just thinking just like how every handhold in high school goes.
It's so true. No, it was so awkward. Like Lana grabs his hand
Yeah,
and like
it was
slowly lets go, and Chloe looks. No, once you've committed to that handhold, you keep your hand there.
Yeah.
You commit.
Yes.
You wishy-washy Lana.
She is wishy-washy.
And then at the end of the movie, all of her friends are like, "Bye, good luck cleaning up by
Leave
yourself."
you alone, even though the episode before you almost got
Right.
yeah. I hated this. Also, I really hate the Shining reference. They're referencing the Shining a bit with the way the girl does certain things, how
Come play with
how
us.
she's dressed.
Come play with us.
So
Yeah, and they
I don't
always
know.
want us to play.
Have you ever seen The Shining?
No.
Okay.
There's no point.
Nicole and
I've
I were
heard.
so curious because there's a lot of people that we would watch.
Love it.
That would say, "Oh, it's so great! It's amazing! It's like the greatest scary movie ever." We watched it.
Wait,
It is,
like recently?
yeah, we
for
watched it
your
like
first time.
2 years ago,
2 years
maybe?
ago.
Okay.
It is the biggest pile of hot garbage nonsense ever.
Really? So maybe
is-
it's just nostalgic to
I think
people?
so.
Oh,
It's like a cult
absolutely.
classic.
There's nothing
Not very
scary about it. It's cringy, honestly, and annoying. So if you don't like that, don't fight me. But
But thank you. Now I won't watch it.
go ahead and comment. Like, there's actually, I've tried to watch a lot of those old horror movies, like Friday the 13th and those
Psycho.
others. They're all really kind of lame. I feel like if you like those cult classics, you might enjoy it. The only good horror franchise, well, the only 2 good horror movies that I've ever seen are Alien and Aliens. That's it.
Oh.
The first and second movies of Alien.
don't
Everything
remember
after that
Alien.
is a mean-spirited balderdash. Don't even watch it.
Isn't there a new Alien out?
Yeah, it's Alien Romulus. I don't
you
know
see
about
it?
that one yet. I haven't seen it yet.
Oh.
But Alien is an absolute masterpiece in horror and in strong female characters that don't have to have their femininity stripped from them.
yeah.
And it's classic Sigourney Weaver. So if you ever want to really enjoy a good horror, go see Alien and then watch Aliens. Don't watch anything after that. It's terrible.
And it's just fun to say
Okay,
Sigourney.
And that's why I wanted to talk about this, because this is actually, it's still kind of Halloween time for us right now while we're recording. Unfortunately, we couldn't release this episode and like have like a real Halloween.
This is so Halloween, this episode.
This is such a Halloween episode.
I was like, was this released? But I don't think it was.
It
during
wasn't.
Halloween,
No.
yeah.
So you have Emily. This is like my issue, even within this first scene in the theater. 8-year-old Emily, I don't care that she's a clone, somehow knows to hook up old
I was
film.
thinking that. How
and
the hell
tape
does she know how to do
show
that?
that to Lana? It's a
And
really like
so
interesting
weird.
She's
pathway.
supposedly like 11, you guys.
9.
It's like they were trying.
9.
I think
But
they were
then
trying
9,
too.
10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Yeah, I guess so.
I think they were trying too hard with the red herring. The red herring is to make it seem like it's
It's
a
a ghost.
supernatural ghost type of thing, and it ends up being a clone. I think
So
they
I-
tried too hard and they missed the mark.
So I did think she could have been a ghost, but I was like, there's got to be something more to it.
Yeah. So
And
this
there
little
was.
girl shows up, Emily, and Lana just does a lot of deep, quick breathing in this episode and like a lot of eye darting. And she's like, and then Clark shows up, and then she is always like, it's nothing. I'm
Yeah.
just.
So annoying.
It happens a couple times, and then eventually she's like, you're going to think I'm crazy, but there's a ghost in here. So like, well, let's go ask her dad to see if he's seen a ghost.
Yeah, let's drive to another city,
So-
go see the random dude and ask
Mm-hmm.
him about his dead daughter.
Let's talk about this. So Lana had a best friend.
Yes.
which we've never heard about until now. That bugs me.
I think
Yeah.
it's because of the deep, deep guilt Lana has felt.
I guess.
Which they just pulled right out of the hat for this. Like,
Yeah.
it should have been me.
And you think that she would have mentioned it before now.
Yeah.
That's why it's a filler episode to me.
I hated it so much.
And I'm like, Lana, you have been through so much.
I know. She's
I
the
don't
most
blame you for
traumatized
seeing
person in this
ghosts. I
stupid
know.
show. Just it's not a stupid show. I love this show.
Your
with all my
parents
heart.
died. Your aunt abandons you.
Your best friend
best
dies when
friend
you were kind of
because
supposed to.
of you.
Your boyfriend just died in war.
Oh my gosh, I know.
She's been on the verge of death multiple times. And in this episode, she gets to be on the verge of death again.
Yeah. Now, ever since you said she's in Eclipse, I can just see it in her face. I can't believe. Wait, did you just say she looks so familiar to me?
Okay, so for this I was like, she looks familiar.
Okay.
So I looked up her like from Smallville, and then I was just scrolling through the films, and it was like Eclipse, and I was like, ah!
No.
chances.
So, Daniel, she was right. There literally are the same people.
Yeah, when she's like, there's characters from Twilight. I was like, there's no way.
Yes,
She's right, unfortunately.
know.
2 now.
that's 2 now.
Yeah. Well,
So many
so
seasons, so many more opportunities.
Don't you love being right?
so basically, they're trying to figure out what this girl is. Is she a ghost? What is she? They go into the basement of her dad's house and they learn the truth. But before that, we have this graveyard scene where we get to see that she's real fast. She's magic fast.
I thought this was really smart of Clark to go and check to see if she's actually.
bones.
Yes, I did
They
like
check the
that.
bones
That was
first.
one really fun thing, actually.
Yeah,
Of course
cute
he could
little
do that. Oh man, he would be so great in Supernatural. They could really
Oh,
use
serious.
him. There's so many times where they need to go and check a grave to see if the
They
if the
have to do
person
it the old-fashioned
yeah they have to dig it up in the middle of the night and it sucks.
Yeah, where's that crossover?
That would be wild.
I thought the effect of him following Emily was actually a pretty cool one, where the rain froze. And
Yeah.
through it. I was very happy and
That
pleased
was
with
good.
that effect.
And I like that she's looking at him, he's looking at her,
Yeah.
and then she runs through a wall,
Yeah.
which Clark can't do.
Uh-huh.
Someone explain that to me.
Do you know who else can run through walls because they're
Flash.
so fast?
Oh.
So
Yeah.
they phase. They move faster
that what
than the
she's
particles, and they're able to.
It
move.
must
She
be-
doesn't know, but
Except her necklace doesn't.
yeah,
Sure.
And it's like the necklace.
But
So
the clothes do.
Yeah.
do you know in comic book lore what you call a superhero with that speed power?
Gladys.
No, what?
Their type of superhero is a speedster.
Oh,
Hate
yeah,
it,
'cause
hate
that's
it.
in the Flash.
Well, that's just kind of what you call him. So Clark has speedster powers. He's kind of like a half speedster
Will
because
he be able to run through walls one day?
Just with force and break them down.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
There's always things where he like races the Flash and he
Oh, I
races
love
Aquaman
that.
at swimming. He there's things like that happen. He can fly faster than anyone else can move, except for the Flash. The Flash is the fastest being, hands down.
That's so cool.
But it's really hard to do speedsters right. Smallville does it pretty well for the most
Yeah.
part. It's weird that I'm saying this, but one of the best renditions of speedsters you'll find in live action is actually in the Eternals.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Twilight.
No. Twilight might be the worst. Twilight is horrible. I think the best thing they ever did in Twilight, and this is a low bar, mind you, best compared to the rest of Twilight, is when they slowed everything else down and had them kind of run normally and gracefully. They couldn't quite get it because I think they were trying to go for like this graceful running. Fails. But I really like how well they do it in this show, and they did it great in this episode. She's super fast and Clark is not quite as fast. That's about all we get. So they decide to go check out the house essentially of
this
her
was
dad.
so creepy.
I want a freaking secret passage in my house. I don't care what you say. I really want a secret passage in my house.
Well, I think if you're working for
You
the
can.
Luthers, they build it in for you.
Probably.
They're part of like the
People that
moving
build it.
package.
Well, and they go down there and there's jars of kryptonite and there's okay, and again, these little pods where they're doing the cloning look eerily just like the
Avatar?
No.
Yes.
I was going to say the hypersleep pods in Alien.
Oh.
So there's a lot of things that made me think of Alien in this episode, actually,
then
for some
it's like,
reason.
it goes up to her sleeping face, and we're like, she's gonna open her eyes.
And she does.
Yes. Oh.
And I noticed there was like one open pod, and that's obviously the one that
She's out of.
our clone Emily has been in. And what I liked about her character is at one point she's swinging on the swings at her old abandoned house, And her dad comes up and is like, what you doing? She goes, where are the bunnies? And
This blew my mind because I'm like, oh, the dad knows.
Yes.
She's, yeah.
yeah, and we learned the dad actually made her. And he's been doing research for Lionel. He says to his daughter, like, you have to come with me. We don't live here anymore. Let's go to the new house. No seeing Lana. And she's like, no, I'm going to do what I want.
And then she
Murder her.
stabs
She
him.
stabs him.
And Kim was like, did she just kill him?
Right. That's what I thought.
And I was so surprised when he was still alive. But listen, do you ever wonder that the divorce was caused because the dad's like, hey, we lost our daughter. I'm going to clone her. And the wife's like, no.
Probably.
You've lost your mind.
I would guess so, because we know before she died, I'm assuming, or maybe some around that time, he's working for the Luther Corp company, and he's working on doing a cloning project, obviously. And that's why he's got bunnies, because they breed so quickly and they grow quickly. So he's doing all this work and doing research with bunnies. But because of how accelerated she's grown, who knows how long it took, she doesn't have a conscience. He said it's a chromosomal like disorder.
And I was like, of
and she doesn't know
course.
right from wrong.
I kind of like the trope of when you clone them.
That there's a problem.
Yeah, that there's no like
Always.
real soul attached and things
It's
like
not,
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why she's acting the way she's acting. And Lionel comes up to the dad, Mr. Dinsmore, and is like, now listen, no more of this.
This isn't your daughter. I'm taking her.
Yeah. Well, and it's not even just that they don't have a soul. It's that you've sped up years of development. You can't
Yeah, you've robbed them
teach-
of that development. Mhm.
teach
There's a
things.
reason why in Twilight you can't turn a baby into a vampire, because they can't develop a
Because
con-
they stop.
They can't develop like a morality system when they're too young, and so they're an immortal child, and you have to kill them.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Yes. Hey,
I've
this is very
got more
factual.
of these. Everyone, I told you, buckle up.
Here's the thing. So Lionel's all creepy. He gives her a bunny.
Yes.
He's like, hey, you're mine now. Mm-hmm. What is Lionel? Does she ever come back?
No,
Oh my gosh. Okay, never mind. I'm like, of
Yeah, this
course
is
he's
totally
gonna have
pointless.
that would
creepy-
be cool though.
Yeah.
Well, actually, there might be something to this, but I would like to ask you, Kim, why on earth would Lionel be funneling money into research around cloning a dead child?
Wait, what? Can I guess?
Do you know? Why would Lionel?
Who's he trying to clone?
So I thought about this.
I don't know.
And I have no idea.
So
So options: Lex,
Power.
another Lex,
okay,
his wife, Julian,
His wife.
or
Who's
Julian.
Julian?
His
Remind me.
Julian's the younger brother of Lex.
Oh, yeah,
that
yeah.
died as like a baby, right, or a
so
young kid.
to me, those are the kind of the big three. Himself, body
Wait,
doubles. Body
so
doubles
did
are a big
Lex
thing.
have two brothers?
a half and a full.
A half and a full.
Oh, okay.
I don't think he's gonna clone Lucas. He can give a shit about that kid.
So I just found it interesting, maybe worth thinking about. Why would Lionel be funneling research into cloning technology right now? Keep that in mind.
Okay.
Interesting. I'm going to.
But it's kind of inconsequential still, because even that doesn't really go too crazy. Well, there might be some connections way later.
I'm like, wouldn't it be so cool if she came back as an adult and
That would
he's
be
like
cool.
she's his assassin?
Well, part
Oh,
of what
yeah.
he's trying to determine too is how effective is getting their memories back, getting them to be the same person, that stuff.
Wouldn't it
Am I
be
hitting
better
some
for
nails
Lionel?
on the head, Brett?
Maybe.
He's not gonna say anything. Just sitting there quietly.
I know nothing.
So, speaking of Lionel, and because it's the only thing I'm willing to talking about in this podcast, he's
Twilight and Lionel.
He's talking to Lex about wedding planning, and he goes, "Well, since I'm not going to get invited to your wedding, here's your wedding present." And guess what the wedding
Yes.
present is? It's a
honeymoon.
private island vacation.
Would you take it? I would.
Just like in Twilight, a house all to themselves. No!
My heart.
Where do you get these? It's wild.
Nicole,
Seriously,
What you get?
I love you so much.
if you are not 100% convinced that Stephanie Myers watched freaking Smallville, I don't know.
I mean,
Hold on. Let
telling
me
you.
ask you though. Would you take it? I would be too scared to take anything from Lionel.
Yeah.
I think you take a wedding present from your parent because you know what? Lex could afford that trip anyway. It's not like it's for him. It's like you want a stick of gum.
But what if Lionel tries to like murder his or his new wife, or like the whole island is bugged?
I mean, I think you would assume that, but I think
What if Bug Boy's on that island?
you would
waiting for them?
assume. I think Lex has to assume his dad can get anywhere anyway. I don't know.
And also, if the island is bugged, that's Lionel's own consequence.
They're making a vampire baby. Oh, I mean, no.
Right.
So there is a super save in this episode.
Yes.
So
It's
And you
true.
know what it's very similar to? Twilight.
it is.
Oh my gosh,
It
it is.
is.
She jumps off a
It's the
stupid
freaking
cliff.
Same.
Into
Lana
the
gets
water.
pushed off.
The
Jacob-
undertow takes them.
It's the same.
They're
All
under
that's
the
missing
water.
is her dreaming about him while she's down there, right?
Right. Garbage
then-
CPR.
I just like that
Big,
their
bus-
lips.
big
Okay.
muscly, dark and handsome dives in, saves her,
Yeah.
makes her cough up water,
Yep.
and she's
Yep.
safe.
I did want to
Yeah.
spend a
It's a freaking
brief
save.
moment on the CPR. So it's the worst CPR ever.
It's like her stomach.
I don't think you do chest compressions when you're have water in your lungs. Unless your heart is stopped, you would just give them mouth to mouth.
No,
Maybe-
they say CPR is more important than mouth to mouth.
But even if their heart is beating,
Don't know.
I don't know, but it's like they wanted him to do CPR, but he couldn't touch her boobs.
Yeah.
So they
No, it's like Lana. Why didn't you try to swim, you idiot?
well,
No.
Anna, like, are you trying to push
That's-
the water out of?
I'm talking about why the CPR is so bad.
Yeah.
I think
And then
it's-
their lips touch.
Yeah, they needed a kiss, and they, and then when she wakes up, hold me.
Weird.
yeah.
Hold
oh,
me.
you think that's weird? Wait till the end of the episode
Oh, I
in the
know.
barn.
I have thoughts about that too.
Kim and our daughter Brindley, our older daughter, were watching this episode,
Yeah.
and they were waiting for a kiss.
So was
They
I.
were so upset. So upset.
So Lana comes in after this whole ordeal into the barn, and the lighting is beautiful, and she's like, "Clark, you
And
always
you know a
believe in
kiss
me."
is gonna come.
Yeah, she goes, "You
The
always believe in
music.
me.
Yeah.
I need to believe in you.
I'm not mad
And
at you this time for saving
It's wonderful."
me.
And she's like, "Yeah, you're the greatest, Clark." Oh, and they're like saying all these, and there's like this romantic piano music playing in the background,
And she
they
grabs a
just
hand,
hold hands,
Grabs a hand.
They don't even hug.
No, they
It's
just stand there.
staring
It
at each
is
other.
the most intimate they have been without the influence of some drug or like magic or kryptonite.
That's
It's
true.
true.
So we start with a handhold. I like it.
Oh,
Grab a hand, grab another hand. Oh, and that's it.
it was so disappointing.
I don't know how you resist kissing each other at that point. Like, if you're already
agree.
staring into each other's souls.
Yeah,
why-
wouldn't it be less awkward to kiss?
Yeah, I
No,
don't
it
know.
would be so much less awkward to kiss because you're gonna hold each other's hands, stare at each other, and at some point, okay, I'm gonna go home now.
Yeah.
But does she go home?
But did you guys like the Avril Lavigne song?
I
I'm
did.
That was good.
I
That was
sang
good.
it.
Oh, that's
That's
Avril
good.
Lavigne. That's right.
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty much how the episode ends. They've clearly been working to push Lana and Clark closer and closer. I
Yeah.
think that they clearly this is a filler episode. They didn't want to put such a major event into
Right.
it.
You can't have them kissing in this garbage.
Yeah, because people might skip it. So you're doing it.
True.
You're going to do it in the season finale or the episode before that or whatever.
Ooh, I can't wait.
So if you're going to do that, if I'm the writer and I'm trying to like build the tension and reward you at the end. So we'll see what really happens. But at this point, they seem to be pretty dang into each other. They've forgiven each other of all their weirdness at the beginning of the season where they were like hating on each other back and forth.
Yeah.
And Chloe and Clark still are in a rough spot. That's kind of where we are in all the relationships in the triangle of garbage love.
On that note, how would you rate this episode?
All together?
I like this episode, you guys.
Oh,
You do?
I do. Okay, so we
But you wouldn't rate
we
it
basically
super.
have this is our fourth of four of our filler double features, right? I think it's the best of the four.
Oh, I do not.
I don't know.
So let's I guess we could talk about that really quick. We did.
Visitor, which is the
Oh,
alien
so
kid.
there's
I think that's the best one of the four.
Oh no!
I thought the creeper one was.
So the one with Paul. And I like this one the best.
I think Precipice is the best episode. I actually think Accelerate is the worst of these four.
It's because of all the Twilight references.
No.
I ruined it.
I do think it's funny because when Nicole was we were talking about these episodes in advance, which ones we were going to make double features. Nicole was like, "Oh, and then that one's the one where Lana sees like the little girl," and I was like, "What? I don't even remember that." It's like ingrained into her head. She does that a lot. Like she did that with the one where Lex is trying to hunt for all the bugs that Lionel has been putting in his apartment. She immediately knows, "Oh, is that the one where Lex is destroying all of his crap?" Like she does this.
I've seen
she
these
has
a
these like
lot.
random memories about each episode that she relates to when she talks about it, and it's just really funny.
So I like this one the most of the four.
Well, then let's do a true rating of this episode. I'm
Okay.
going to say man.
Kimberly?
Man.
man.
I think it's super, but for maybe weirdish reasons. I really like that we get Lionel, and you can see like how deep and devious his side projects are.
Oh yeah, this is
Because
pretty dang deep and devious.
It makes him like a supervillain.
Oh, for sure.
Like he's in that room with Emily giving her bunnies, and she's like, "Where's my dad?" And he's like, "Don't worry about it."
And
Here's
he's
a bunny.
watching. The dad is watching him say, "You don't need to worry about him anymore."
And that he can just say, "She's property. She's a defective prop. She's what is? I wrote it
a
down.
defective specimen.
Yeah, defective specimen. He's so creepy and evil. Oh, so good. I just like the idea that there's like, you think it's a ghost, but it's not, and there's science behind it. Clark gets to do a good save. You get a little bit of romance in there a little bit. You get a jump scare or two. I liked it.
Well, at least one of us did.
And you know who else liked this episode? Stephanie Meyer.
Oh gosh, I actually didn't know where you were going with that.
Yeah.
I thought we had reached the limit of possible.
There are no
Twilight.
limits. No limits.
Not with Nicole, at least.
You know what? It's not my fault.
Listeners, please comment, subscribe.
Tell
One,
me
tell
what-
Nicole to stop. And
No,
two,
tell me
tell
what
us if
things
you
I
like this
missed.
episode.
Yeah, if you could, go for it. Tell us what things we missed.
There's
Go
gotta
ahead.
be more Twilight references that I'm
You
not seeing.
you find more Twilight references. We'll reward it by reading it on air together, and we will cringe together as we should. And on that fun bombshell, it's time to end.
Thank you for remembering Smallville with us. Join us next week when...
We end the season.
Hi, my friends, listening on your little earbuds and in your cars and while you're pooping. Whatever, it's cool. Could you do me a favor? Like a really big one? Could you go on Instagram? I know you have Instagram. You're doom scrolling as we speak, probably. Could you, follow us? It's really easy to find. It's at Remembering Smallville. So go there, click the follow button. Oh, we'll be best friends. We'll post. You like it. It'll be amazing. So we'll see you on Instagram at Remembering Smallville.
Four friends on a mission. Daniel, Nicole, Brad, and Kim. Talking Smallville every week. The podcast a gem. Smallville nights we laugh out loud. Every week they make us proud. Daniel, Nicole, Brad, and Kim. In the world we find our thrill. Heroes fly and legends grow. Stories shared, they make it flow. From Clark Kent to Lex's schemes, they uncover every dream. Smallville nights we laugh out loud. Every week they make us proud. Daniel, Nicole, Brad, and Kim. In the world we find our thrill. Watching tales of old, their voices pure gold. Every twist, every turn, with them there's much to learn. Smallville nights we laugh out loud. Every week they make us proud. Daniel, Nicole, Brad, and Kim.